Hi guys, what's up? Alex here. Today we are here with Alex Stopp to do a review of the 2014 Formula 1 season. Would you like to say hello?
Hello everyone.
Well, basically we did this at the start of the year. We did a preview of the whole year, and now we're going to do a review of it, go through every single race, and try and give a sort of a quick insight of what we thought of it. So should we start off with Australia?
Yes.
So obviously we all expected no cars to finish really that race, but surprisingly we got was it 13 cars finished that race?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was really surprising to see so many finishes. Yeah, especially with like Daniel Ricciardo finishing in second when the Red Bull during pre-season testing was just blowing up every single lap.
Oh, that means actually 14 cars finished because Ricciardo finished, but he got disqualified.
Yes, yeah. For what was it? Was it the rear wing? No, I can't remember. Was it? Oh no,
I can't even
remember.
remember.
It was fuel. That was it. It was fuel.
Oh, okay.
I remember now. Yeah, it was fuel.
I still feel that was like the first race of the season, new cars completely. But I don't know. Red Bull are always there to sort of bend the rules, aren't they? So
yeah. Well, apparently, if he didn't have that extra fuel, then he would have been around Hulkenberg and fifth on pace.
Ah, okay.
So
that makes a bit of sense.
That's why they're using that apparently. But
okay, so Rosberg ended up winning Australia with Hamilton retiring. And McLaren got 2 podiums, their only podium of the whole year, double podium, and their only podium of the year with Magnussen second and Button third. Any other talking points really, or?
Well, of course, the cars when they came out brand new, they were very loose at the rear. And you especially saw that at Australia, I thought, because street circuit obviously has not as much grip as a proper racetrack, but. The bad thing about Australia, I felt, was the fact that Jenson Button got the podium, but he still wasn't actually in the podium ceremony.
So he's had he's had 2 years without actually standing on a podium now.
Yeah, yeah, since he won in Brazil, didn't he?
Yeah, I still feel sorry for him. Like as we're recording this, they still haven't sorted out the contracts and everything.
Yeah,
they probably have whilst we've uploaded this, but yeah. So yeah, I'm surprised that a lot of cars finished actually, and. Even Chilton finished in 13th, lads. But it was that was the closest Sauber got to points as well. Obviously, we're both a fan of Adrian Sutil.
Yeah.
And that was his best result of the whole year in the first race of the season, or equal best.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Still not good enough for points.
No.
Right, should we move on to Malaysia then?
Yep.
I don't think I even watched this race, but
it was a complete domination by Lewis Hamilton. I think he got pole, but he just pulled away from Rosberg. It wasn't like later in the season where Rosberg had the pace, to fight him in the race. At Malaysia, it seemed that Hamilton was in a league of his own because every single lap he was faster than Rosberg, no matter what tyre, no matter what point of the race. And the main thing from that race is that Sebastian Vettel finished third.
Yeah, that was his. After such a terrible start of the season, that was their first podium of the year. Technically, it was what actually was pointed down as their first podium. But I'm still surprised that they got a podium that quickly, to be honest.
Yeah, especially after the pre-season testing where everything was just falling apart.
And I remember that. I don't know whether you remember the picture of Vettel pushing the Red Bull back to their garage.
Yeah,
that pretty much summed up their testing. And yeah, so Hamilton got the win in that race, fastest lap and pole position. So yeah, as you say, complete domination. Rosberg got second, but
I think that was also the race when Daniel Ricciardo was running in fourth. I think near Vettel when they had that really bad pit stop.
Oh, okay.
And then I know his wing fell off, didn't it? I can't remember. It was something really weird.
I remember I think something broke or something, didn't it? So he had to pull off at the side of the track, and that was his race over with. So. I think he expected more than a disqualification and a retirement in his first 2 races at Red Bull, but you never going to next year as well. You never know whether Mercedes are going to be first or will they be down like 5th, 6th, 7th like they were a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That's a topic for our video next year.
But that's it for Malaysia. Really, there wasn't much out of that action, except Bahrain. Bahrain was the first dry qualifying we saw.
Yeah. Really? I don't even remember. See, my memory's bad. I really shouldn't probably be doing this video. But...
Well, I know that the first race, of course, it was very close between Hamilton and Ricciardo. Ricciardo was on inters and Hamilton was on wets. In Malaysia, I think they were all on inters. But that's when Vettel qualified second, I think, and he was really close to Hamilton again. But in Bahrain, we had a dry qualifying, and Rosberg got pole. like he did did he get it in 2013? I think he.
I can't remember. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did get it in 2013.
Yeah,
because he had a long streak, didn't he, in 2013, just getting loads of poles. Or Mercedes did.
Yeah, with no race pace whatsoever.
Yep. So yeah, he got pole, and that was a great race. I mean, I remember this one quite well. Like they were overtaking each other every lap, pretty much for a good 20 odd laps.
Yeah, it was a really, really big titanic fight between Hamilton and Rosberg, especially after the last safety car. We saw fights between the Williams and the Force Indias battling out for third place, and you still even had fights with like the Ferraris and Red Bulls. It was a really action-packed race. Of course, we had the Gutierrez flip, which was a particularly spectacular accident. But the most important thing for me as a Force India fan is Sergio Perez got on the podium. So that's my highlight of the season.
And that's another thing. Hulkenberg doesn't get a podium yet again in a season. This is his 4th season in Formula 1, I think, and still no podium. But I suppose
2012, 2013. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody talks him up, but then if you look at his consistency, that's why people say he's so good.
Yeah, because it was like top 10. We got points until Hungary where he crashed into his teammate, which is weird. And I don't understand what happened there, but
so he only didn't score in 4 races, but I suppose we can get onto that later. But only 2 races he retired, and 2 he finished outside the points. But anyway, as I said, Bahrain. I think it was just surprising how Perez really sort of flicked the switch all of a sudden and went from being sort of not really anywhere in Australia.
I think it might be like a really good track for him, because we saw at McLaren when in the first couple of races he was really like tame. I think he expects to be a lot more, because he expects the car to be competitive, and of course it wasn't. And then he was really tame in the first couple of races last year, so he wasn't battling with cars very much. He was giving up on position. And McLaren said, stick your foot in.
And crash into Button.
And then, started getting really racy with Button. But I think it's a really good circuit for Perez. I think he enjoys it. So he got the podium and beat Hulkenberg, who looked like he was going to get the podium for some of the race.
Yeah, and then he didn't even get 4th Hulkenberg. He ended up being 5th because Ricciardo got past him at the end. So Bahrain, I think one of the highlights of the season for everyone, really. Even if you're a Rosberg fan, you can say it was a good race. It was interesting and a good fair fight.
Maybe not for McLaren though. Double retirement.
Yeah, that's what I think. That was definitely their first retirement. But did they have many double retirements throughout the whole?
I don't think so.
So not good, considering McLaren have always been good with the reliability, at least over the last sort of 10 years.
Yeah, because they had the most points streak, don't they, in terms of a team?
Does it still continue? I don't know.
Oh, they stopped at 2013 Australia, wasn't it? I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the car was absolute crap. So.
Yeah. So shall we move on to China?
Yep.
I think for me, going into China, I was expecting Rosberg to be there, and because he had won obviously in won last year, 2013. Was it 2013?
No, 2012.
It was 2012.
Yeah.
He pretty much dominated that in a car which probably shouldn't have won that race.
No.
And he was sort of nowhere this race. He's always been a track he's been good at. Well, not really nowhere, but you'd have expected him to be closer to Hamilton, I thought.
Yeah, it was yet again a pretty dominating result by Lewis Hamilton. And of course, this is the point where Hamilton was trying to make up that gap that he lost in that first race. And this is the point where most people were saying that the entire season is going to be just Hamilton out front and Rosberg trailing behind, kind of like a Vettel-Webber relationship you might have seen in the previous few years, where they weren't battling. And of course, that's not very entertaining, especially if you have one teammate dominating the other in that fashion.
It definitely was closer than Malaysia, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he was definitely closer. I think it definitely took Rosberg a little bit of time to get used to working with Hamilton, like at the front, fighting for wins, because I think the last time they'd been teammates doing that must have been back in like karting or something.
Yeah.
And obviously they're sort of friends, aren't they? Or they were.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
So I suppose it's hard to keep a friendship going as well as fighting for Formula 1 victories in a championship. But
yep. And
Rosberg.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say Rosberg is definitely sort of closing their gap at that point. But yeah, sorry, what were you going to
say? Fernando Alonso got his first podium and Ferrari's first podium of the year. Of course, the rest of the year was completely lackluster. from Ferrari. No real pace in any Grand Prix really, except for Hungary. But that just shows the fact they only got 2 podiums in the entire season. And
one of Ferrari's worst years. Well, I don't know whether it's one of their worst years. It's definitely one of their worst years in the last 15 or 16 years.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they used to dominate in the early 2000s, and now they're just sort of. We're looking at Alonso's results. I don't know whether you got the Wikipedia page up. He finished 6th quite a lot.
Yeah, he qualified 5th like every single time, isn't it? Because it's a running joke on the subreddit, Formula One, that 5th is called Alonso because he only qualifies in 5th. I think he has the most 5th place in history in terms of qualifying.
I wouldn't be surprised. So. And should we move on from China then?
Yeah.
There wasn't really that many talking points, but going into Spain, I think we saw a really good fight between Hamilton and Rosberg.
Yeah,
Rosberg was behind again. Hamilton got pole. I think, who got fastest lap? Vettel got fastest lap, but Rosberg pretty much just fought back in that last stint, and
he was like caught him. Yeah, nearly caught him. They said He said one more lap, didn't he?
He said that quite a few times.
Yeah, definitely did. Like in Bahrain. Yeah, Bahrain, I think he said one more lap.
And you never know whether that's actually just him saying that to keep his motivation up properly.
I think so. I think it's all mind games, isn't it? He's trying to make it so to seem to Hamilton that you're only just winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't let off. And
Ricciardo, his first podium of the season was in Spain, and I think that's sort of the start of when he really sort of realised he can do some good stuff in the Red Bull. He beat his teammate fair and square.
Yep.
And Bottas. Looking at the start of the season, Williams didn't have a great start, did they?
No, they ruined their start, didn't they? I think it was bad tyre strategies. Obviously, Bottas should have really got a podium in the first race. He should have beaten Magnussen on pace. But remember, he crashed against the wall and got a puncture, and then forced his way back up to 5th.
I was really surprised that I completely forgot about that. No, about Australia, sorry. But yeah, that was a great drive.
Yeah, so Williams really did ruin their first part of the season. Felipe Massa, of course, retired in the first race with Kamui Kobayashi just straight lining the first corner with no front brakes. So Williams definitely had a bad start of the season.
And should we move on to Monaco then?
Yeah.
Which was, I think, when a lot of people started to dislike Rosberg.
Yeah, because a lot of controversy in qualifying. Some people thought that he went straight on purpose, or that he already knew his lap was ruined, so he decided to go down the escape road to cause yellow flags for Lewis's lap, who was behind him.
I know it might be a bit of a horrible question to ask you, but what do you think he did it on purpose?
No. If he did, I think it's quite clever if he did. I think, but I don't think he's that kind of racer who would go out to do that.
I mean, a lot of people obviously would say that he is, but I think I don't support Hamilton or Rosberg, and I still think to this day that it was a genuine mistake. But that's what it is. A lot of people might disagree with me for that.
Expect the comment section.
Yeah, probably. So that was Rosberg's first win over Hamilton in a race where they both finished.
Yeah, and also that was the race where Hamilton got something in his eye, didn't he? He nearly lost it to Ricciardo.
I remember. I don't think I watched Monaco live, but I remember watching it back and being like, "Really?" I don't know whether it's a thing like I can't get past Rosberg, so am I going to make him an excuse or something here? I don't know.
But looking further down the grid, this was the race that Jules Bianchi got those 2 points for Marusha's first points ever in Formula One. That was a really good drive that day, obviously helped by Magnussen and Raikkonen deciding to drive into each other. I think it was Raikkonen driving into Magnussen actually. At the hairpin.
Magnussen was pretty annoyed, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember him like fist waving, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but that was a really good drive from Bianchi, and a really good drive from Ericsson as well. I think because he finished 11th. Ericsson, that got Caterham's best result of the season.
Yeah. I've got to say the Caterham was never as good as the Marussia this year, really, was it?
No, it wasn't. No.
So that was a good drive for Ericsson, but I think again for Sauber, obviously it was a race where they could have easily got points, but I think Gutierrez threw it away by crashing into a wall.
Yeah.
I can't remember what happened to Suto. Maybe another time.
He might have got stuck behind someone. I can't remember, to be honest.
Did he? Yeah, he retired from Monaco.
Well, Suter was a bit of a Monaco expert as well. Well, when he was at Force India, he was, at least.
Dive out the inside at the hairpin.
Yeah, for Alonso.
Like nobody else could even risk doing that, but he managed to pull it off.
Yeah,
good times. Had to cherish those moments. Yeah, probably might not be in F1 next year.
I don't think he is he? He hasn't got a drive anywhere.
Unless he's going with Caterham or Russia if they do end up.
Although he might be heading to like WEC or.
Yeah, it might be better because he's never really been the super fast driver, but he's always been quite consistent, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. Although he gets angry quite easily.
Yeah, we'll try and gloss over that. So, yeah, Monaco, I think, was a bit of a procession, really. There wasn't a huge amount of actually overtaking, except from the crashes.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a huge amount of overtaking. And actually, Lotus got 2 points in a row, didn't they, in Spain and Monaco?
Spain was the special one because Grosjean qualified 5th in Spain. Most people forget that he qualified 5th in that Lotus. So that was,
I think Grosjean has immense talent, and I'm sort of happy that I'm happy he's in F1 next year because he has a lot of talent that had gone to waste this year. As with Maldonado, but a lot of people probably don't agree with me on that.
Crashed all of Maldonado.
Yeah. So let's go on to Canada then, because I think this again was a great race.
Yeah.
I like Bahrain, but for many different reasons. Because this was when I think Rosberg sort of dominated the weekend in a way. He got pole over Hamilton, which Hamilton was always renowned for being really good at Canada, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Won his first race there. I can't remember whether until like 2013 or whatever, his record was win or crash.
Yeah, it was because he crashed into the back of Raikkonen, didn't he, in 2008?
In the pit lane,
yeah. 2008, because then Kubica won the race, yeah.
But Hamilton ended up retiring because they both had that same problem, didn't they?
Yeah, it's to do with the engine. It was the same thing that Rosberg had in Abu Dhabi, I think, but obviously Mercedes are a bit more wary of it at that point. Yeah. But back then, it was a completely new problem. And they both ended up with so much less engine power. And of course, Sergio Perez on the one-stop strategy compared to the Red Bulls behind, who were on 2 stops, and Felipe Massa and the Williams. They were trying to overtake Perez, but he had the straight line speed to keep them behind in the Force India. Of course, Force India started outside the top 10, and they were looking pretty close to the podium. I can remember Ted Kravitz saying before the race that they're the favourites for the podium. And of course, I got all excited and stuff. And then, of course, I was really excited during the race because it looked at one point that Perez might overtake Rosberg and have a chance of winning and be Force India's first victory. But then, of course, there was the accident on the last lap, wiping out Sergio Perez and Felipe Massa, and nearly wiping out Vettel.
I still don't know. I look back at that, and there's a lot of finger pointing, wasn't there, from both the teams? Like, you did it. I think maybe just at the end of the day, it was sort of one of those sort of racing accidents that ended up being quite big.
I think because it was on the last lap, of course, Perez didn't want to give up. I think if he did that move earlier on in the race, then I think that would have been way overly aggressive. But this was the last lap. And
well, like a 70-lap race, was it 71 lap race or something?
Yeah.
I think how tired you must be.
Yeah, definitely agree.
So, yeah, I don't think you can really blame either person for it. I mean, Massa was trying to go for a move, and Perez was trying to defend a move, or defend a position, I should say. But of course, Perez still finished 11th.
Daniel Ricciardo's first victory in Formula 1, and his first podium. Oh no, it was his first podium. Never mind.
It's his third podium.
Third podium.
First win, which was out of nowhere, really surprising.
Yeah, because he got past Sergio Perez, didn't he?
And then just flew off into the distance and overtook Rosberg.
Yes, because Perez was losing something like 6/10 in the first sector because of some brake sensor issue. I can remember them saying. And I know Williams was saying that they should have retired Perez's car, but at that point in the race, you may as well just go for it. Otherwise, you're not racing if you just give up. So
yeah, that's the thing of Force India. They're always I think they're always smart as well about their strategy. Even if they do have problems, I think they've got quite good at nursing them and getting the cars to the finish.
Well, it's the same drivers for next year, so
yeah, I think it should be good.
Hope so.
Force India.
Hope so. Fingers crossed.
Austria then.
Yeah, the surprise Williams pace beating the Mercedes. Yeah, 1-2 as well. Yeah, because Rosberg got third and Hamilton locked up, didn't he, on his
and spun it. And everyone made fun of Hamilton for trying to get a flag.
Yeah.
Didn't they? But I'm sure a lot of people probably don't want me to say that. But let's move on to.
I didn't watch Austria. because I was in Spain at that time.
Oh, look at you!
No, the Spanish commentary is awful. It's like,
oh,
well, I think it's awful anyway. But
so you didn't even bother watching it. It's like, it's just too painful.
well, like they just kept on having pieces of on Alonso like during the race.
Oh, okay.
Like come up with a random piece of Alonso. Just.
Oh, is that why I said about Alonso before we start recording? Basically, all they talked about was Alonso.
Yeah, yeah.
But he still finished 5th for Alonso. That's pretty.
Yeah,
generic. pretty much where he finished the rest of the season. But you said that he had the pace.
Yeah,
so.
well, Alonso said, I think it was at Brazil, that Austria was his best race in terms of pace. I think he was just behind the Williams, and he was really on it, and that was the best race for Ferrari in terms of their pace. I think that's what he was trying to put across. Yeah.
But another win for Rosberg. I think that was the first sort of time everyone sort of thought that was a fair fight between them two, like two of them.
Where Rosberg won.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Over Hamilton, but yeah, I think still a great win for Rosberg, and that was one where Hamilton was coming back at him, wasn't it? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So yeah, good win for Rosberg. I think that took him back to lead the championship, or maybe Canada took him back to lead. Oh yeah, Canada must have taken him.
Yeah,
it
was Canada. Yeah. And then of course he extended his lead in Austria.
Yeah. And that was Bottas' first podium, wasn't it?
Yep. And Williams' first podium, even though they should have had probably maybe 2 or 3, from both of the drivers. Yeah. Of course, Massa was way off of Bottas's kind of level at that point in the season, at least.
I think Massa had some sort of problem. I don't know whether it's some sort of problem outside racing in that sort of season, but he just seemed not really with it 100%.
No.
I don't know whether that's right to say, but he seemed to maybe have his attention a little bit elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
But moving on to Britain, Hamilton's home race, obviously.
Yep.
And nearly the perfect weekend for him, because he was pretty much faster all weekend, except for a little mistake in quality, wasn't it? I remember correctly, he was on the wrong tyres. Gave up on his last lap.
It was drying, wasn't it? Like the last sector was where they lost all the time on the first runs, and then the second runs, like it was 3 seconds faster in the last sector. So like I can remember the first person to cross the line was Nico Hülkenberg, and of course I was like, well, because he went Nico Hülkenberg pole, and I was like, oh wow, this is the time.
Did Hülkenberg qualify top 3 then?
No, he qualified 4th, I think, because I think it was Jenson Button, wasn't it? He qualified 3rd.
I honestly can't remember some of the qualifying results. all I've got to prove for points here is the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, I've got the Wikipedia page. I was trying to get it from memory, but.
So Rosberg ended up getting pole, didn't he? It looked like, was it Vettel was going to get pole at one point?
Yeah, it did look like that. Yeah, but then Rosberg smashed it, didn't he, by like 6/10.
Once again, just showing how quick the Mercedes really are.
Yeah. If
they get it right. So, but then the race was a completely different story, wasn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Hamilton went and got fastest lap in the win.
Yeah, because Rosberg had a gearbox failure.
Yeah, that made him pull off at the side of the track and pretty much close up the championship again, didn't it?
Yeah, and that was also the closest race where Jenson Button got to an actual podium, if you want to say it in that way. Because remember, he was hunting down Ricciardo in the last lap.
I think I do remember that, because he put new tyres on, didn't he? Or there was a safety car or something, and he put them on.
Yeah, I think so. But what most annoys me about that race, is that I went to the British Grand Prix in 2011, 2012 and 2013, and I didn't see Hamilton win, and of course the whole crowd getting all like happy and stuff, and then I don't go, and Hamilton wins.
Just your luck. So that really did close out the championship for Hamilton's sake, and obviously a home win means a lot to him.
Yeah.
And Bottas got 2nd, and Ricciardo yet again on the podium in 3rd, pretty much finishing best of the rest.
Yeah,
when he can do, and taking the win when he can do as well. Not really that many standout performances otherwise, except from Kvyat, got 9th. Obviously, his sort of equal best of the season, finished 9th 3 times.
Oh, I didn't realise that he got anything above 9th. John O'Byrne got 6th, didn't he? I think that was his best. Singapore.
That was a great race for him.
Yeah,
that's the sort of race where he completely changed his sort of approach. I think that was when. Was it around that sort of time when they announced Verstappen?
Yeah.
And Verne was like, I need to drive for my seat now.
But I don't know why Toro Rosso aren't keeping him.
No.
When he scores decent points. And I mean, they've now announced, haven't they, like yesterday?
Science.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see where he is.
Back to square one.
again for Toro Rosso, like they did with Ricciardo and Verne, who are very evenly matched. People seem to forget how evenly matched Ricciardo and Verne were.
I honestly thought there should be like some sort of shootout between Verne and Ricciardo for that Red Bull seat this year. Like a bit more of a chance for Verne. He pretty much wasn't given any chance at it. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like maybe a 10-lap shootout between them or whatever. I don't know.
Put them in
That's probably a bit unfair.
Put them in like 2009 cars, so they both haven't driven them.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
So then Germany.
Yeah.
Germany had recently won the World Cup at this point, and Rosberg goes and gets them a win as well.
Yeah, it was a great week. I think it was week for Germany. But I mean, that was where in qualifying, Hamilton had that brake failure and went straight in the wall. And of course, you know, like there were loads of things on Facebook. I seem to remember people thought Mercedes was sabotaging.
Oh yeah.
You had to help Rosberg. Of course, I don't believe that's true, because that would be ridiculous, because you could end up hurting your driver. Yeah. So you don't want to do that.
So another good race for Rosberg, which pretty much converted pole to win. Didn't get fastest lap though, because that went to Hamilton.
I believe so.
But Bottas once again showing that he can drive the car very well, because he defended from Hamilton, didn't he?
Yep.
And I think that sort of drive, that was one of Bottas' stronger drives. Not in the sense that he finished second, but in the sense he actually had to battle someone to get, or to keep a place, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, in the last few laps he was battling off Hamilton, so good job.
And apart from that, not much other stuff except from Vettel getting a one over on his teammate, which he didn't really have throughout the rest of the season.
Oh, he did, yeah. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, not much other stuff happening in terms of the German Grand Prix. So should we move again across to Hungary, which I think was another surprising race for a lot of us.
Yeah, very, very surprising race in Hungary. It was really exciting as well. I was really surprised by the entire result of that Grand Prix. Yeah, because of course you had Hamilton's engine fire in qualifying again. And of course people were questioning Hamilton's qualifying and the way his car is set up and that kind of thing, for it to then go and explode. So, and of course Hungary is a track which Hamilton yet again has a huge record of winning. So he's won it in 2007, didn't he?
I think
no, that was Kovalainen. No, it wasn't. Never mind. Oh, never mind, I'm talking crap. Get back onto 2014.
So I think once again a really amazing result for Ricciardo.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it was actually a legitimate win in a way, because Hamilton, he spun on the first lap, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's correct.
Crashed into a wall, but didn't get any damage. Then fought back. Rosberg finished fourth. But really, Ricciardo, I think, won it on legitimate pace.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Of course, Alonso, that was the top performance for him all season in that Ferrari.
Yeah, second place.
And of course, he was winning up until like the third last lap, wasn't he? He was leading. Yeah. So, and then of course, Ricciardo did one of his signature moves down the inside and made it stick, and he won the race. So that was another good win by Ricciardo.
And it's surprising seeing Mercedes listed as third and fourth in a race. You don't really see that.
No.
Throughout the whole season. Apart from Abu Dhabi, that was their it was their second worst result where they both finished, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
In terms of points.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Hungary was a really good race, but again, not really much interesting stuff going on down the field. Raikkonen got a sixth, so that was his best result of the season at that point.
He was doing well in Monaco, I seem to remember, up until he had that extra pit stop because he got a slow puncture. He was running in like fourth place, I think, in Monaco.
He's always been pretty good around Monaco, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, I expected him to do really well around Hungary, which he did, because whenever Hamilton's won at Hungary, Raikkonen's been second on the podium. So there we go.
Ferrari were definitely a little bit close to the rest of the field in Hungary.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Which I think shows that their car probably wasn't actually that bad, but probably their engine was, yet again, the part of them that let them down.
Well, I mean, none of their customers beat them.
Yeah.
Any point in the season, no, at any point in the season did a Sauber beat a Ferrari, or a Marussia beat a Ferrari. Well, except for in Monaco, but that was due to a crash by Kimi Raikkonen in the last lap.
Yeah. So, yeah, move on to Hungary to Belgium, which I think another one which was a lot of controversy, really.
Yeah, huge controversy in Belgium. Nico Rosberg got pole, didn't he?
Yeah, and fastest lap
in
the race, but that wasn't what everyone was talking about.
No.
It was the fact that he crashed into, or supposedly did it on purpose, crashed into Hamilton.
I think I think in terms of the Belgian one, I think that he was trying to make a point. So Hamilton can't just shut the door like he did earlier in the season. If you go back to Bahrain, the battle they had there, Hamilton was just
pushing him over the curves and stuff.
Yeah, I think he wanted to make a point there. It backfired spectacularly, of course, when Hamilton ended up with a puncture. Rosberg ended up with a damaged front wing, which severely damaged his pace. And he couldn't even catch up Ricciardo at the end of the race because of that damage he had earlier in the race, and Ricciardo won the race with Hamilton retiring, and then, of course, you have all the boos.
Yeah. I mean, I do actually honestly believe Hamilton when he said that Rosberg said that he was trying to prove a point, but I don't think it was in the way that Hamilton meant, like he wanted to like crash into him or whatever.
No.
I think, as you say, it was like what you said, that he doesn't want to back out of moves like that.
Yeah.
Because obviously Hamilton has sort of pushed him around quite a bit in that season, the part of the season before that. And as you say, it was to try and prove that he wasn't just going to be pushed about for the whole season. He was actually in contention for the championship.
Yeah.
So another win for Ricciardo. Surprising at that point, he had 3 wins. I don't think anyone would have expected that.
No.
Halfway through the season,
and Vettel to have none.
Yeah.
And not even, I can't remember a single point in the season where Vettel looked like he might win.
No. Singapore, he was fast, but then again, he was nowhere near the Mercedes, yeah.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So, should we move on to Italy, which wasn't really that spectacular, was it? But Hamilton really showed that he can deliver under pressure. Because at that point of the season, I still think Rosberg was leading the championship, wasn't he?
Yeah, he looked like he was going to not run away with it, but it looked like Mercedes might throw it away at that point, because, of course, they hadn't won since the British Grand Prix. Wait, never mind. They haven't won since the German Grand Prix. And
so
Mercedes were throwing away points. If you compare to the rest of the season, where they've won every single race, pretty much.
They
hadn't won in 2 races, and it looked a bit dismal in terms of Mercedes' performance.
But then they went and pretty much dominated Italy, didn't they?
Yeah, they went and did that.
So another 1-2 for them. But then I think the big talking point of that was Massa getting onto the podium, which was big for him.
I think from Italy onwards, he really showed some more pace.
Yeah, only finished outside the points once in Russia, but I can't remember what happened to him in Russia. I think some sort of problem, but we can talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Italy, really not that spectacular a race, but I think some pretty good overtakes.
There was some really good battling, I seem to remember, between Sergio Perez and Jenson Button. Yeah. Old teammates, and Perez ended up beating Button, I think.
Let's have a look. 8th for Button and 7th for Perez.
Yeah, but
Perez was consistent, wasn't he, that part of the season? From Belgium to Russia, he was in the points every race.
Yeah, it didn't meet Hülkenberg's height, though, at the beginning of the season.
No.
But it seemed between the Force India teammates, I mean, I know a lot of you may not be interested that much into Force India. I'm a Force India fan, but like in the first part of the season, the car had more pace compared to the competitors. And Hülkenberg got 5th and 6th. All the way up to like Germany, to finish 7th at Germany, but that's still really good points. And then Hülkenberg's form went off when he crashed into Perez at Hungary.
Yeah.
And of course, Sergio Perez also crashed in Hungary. But then from then on, it seemed like Perez just had that edge.
I don't know whether it's the case. Force India, I could be wrong. I've been supporting them since 2008, but they've always seemed to be pretty good in the first half of the season, then slowly drop off throughout the year, and then we get to the last race of the season and they're sort of really nowhere at some point.
The only 2 exceptions I can see to that
2011
is
one of them.
2011? That wasn't one of my years.
Okay.
It was 2009, obviously, with the big aero package they got at Belgium. Yeah. Actually, no, they got it at Valencia, sorry, but they didn't have an impact until Belgium, where of course Fisichella got the
pole and second.
Yeah, so that was a great day. And then 2012, when Force India should have had their first victory, because Hülkenberg led for 43 laps in Brazil. He led for until he crashed into Hamilton. I'm not even going to try and say that's someone else's fault. It was Hülkenberg's fault.
Yeah. And the reason I said 2011 is I remember Suttel having a good result there. I think he finished like 5th in Brazil. Maybe they were quite good at Brazil, I think. But I think generally they do sort of drop off in the sort of second half.
Yeah. Unfortunately
for them.
They can't afford the kind of development.
I think it's because they just don't have the they don't have the money to just keep developing.
No.
They always come out with a strong car that can be on the podium in the first couple of races, but maybe sometimes don't deliver on it.
Yeah. So, usually through reliability stuff, because of course the beginning of the season. But yeah, that's it for Italy, I think.
So Singapore, another bad result for Rosberg. If he was getting used to finishing second or having a bad race, but yeah, he's retired from this one. I think he lost Urs again.
It was clutch, wasn't it?
Oh, I can't remember. Some sort of issue that meant he had to retire.
It's on the grid, wasn't he? He had to start from pit lane.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
He had to be rolled from his second place grid spot into the pit lane.
And then they lost Urs, I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So pretty much it's the worst weekend of his life.
And of course that's when Hamilton brought back that really big. It looked quite big. Even after Hamilton's win at Italy, the gap still looked manageable for Rosberg.
Yeah.
But then of course Rosberg retired and Hamilton actually took the lead in the championship.
So if Rosberg had finished second in Singapore, which would have been obviously pretty good for him, he would have been, I think, ahead of Hamilton going into Abu Dhabi.
Maybe, yeah, seems plausible.
I think by 1 point he would have been ahead going into Abu Dhabi, which would have made it a lot closer.
Yeah.
But you can always say ifs and buts and stuff throughout the whole season, can't you? So
yeah.
That's just how it was, and I think they all ended up. I think Hamilton and Rosberg ended up with sort of 3 mechanical failures throughout the whole year.
Yeah. Yes.
And Hamilton retired from 3, Rosberg retired from 2, but obviously had the one in Abu Dhabi, but managed it a bit.
It practically retired. I mean, he was at Will Stevens' pace, wasn't he, at the end?
Probably even slower, to be honest. He finished 14th. He was behind Grosjean.
I know, because loads of people were saying on Reddit how Will Stevens in a Caterham couldn't manage to beat on pace Rosberg with like 70% of the power and like 50% of the brakes. So that kind of shows the difference between Caterham and Mercedes.
Yeah, it's not that Will Stevens is a really bad driver. It's literally that Caterham's probably like 5 seconds a lap slower in the race. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, another win for Hamilton in Singapore. A retirement for Rosberg. Second place for Vettel. I think that was one of his standout performances of the year. It was his best result of the year, but he did generally have the pace over Ricciardo in Singapore.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, definitely.
And Japan, obviously a race we're sadly going to remember for the wrong reasons. Which is obviously a very sad accident for Jules Bianchi, which was because Suttle spun and there was a tractor out the track. Yeah,
to recover it, and then Bianchi caught the spin, which Suttle couldn't manage to in the same place, and ended up going straight ahead into the back of the JCB, and of course that ended up with him having head trauma. And he's still in hospital now, isn't he?
Yeah, obviously both of us really hope that Jules Bianchi can make a sort of come back to motorsport. I mean, who knows what's going to happen. Hopefully it will, hopefully, obviously doctors and stuff nowadays are really, really good with what they do, so hopefully it can be good for Bianchi, and hopefully we can see him back.
Yep.
But yeah, hopefully for Marussia's sake as well, that's not going to be the last sort of race for them in a way. Obviously they did Russia, but it was a really sad time, really. It's hard to put it into words how I feel for Marussia and everyone working there, but that must have been so horrible for them, because obviously we hadn't had anything like that really in the last couple of years.
No.
Alright, I think we'll try and move on from it, even though it's a hard thing to talk about. Hamilton ended up winning that race, didn't he?
Yep.
It finished under a red flag because of that accident.
Yeah, because the medical car came out, didn't it? So as soon as the accident happened.
So that was a win for Hamilton over Rosberg. He did get past Rosberg, didn't he? Because Rosberg got pole.
Yeah, he managed to get past on pace in Japan.
And the red flag came out at a weird time, didn't it? Because it meant that Vettel pitted, I think, and then Ricciardo got ahead, but then the red flag result
was one lap before, isn't it?
Yeah, so Vettel actually stood on the podium, and the thing is, it was really hard on the podium to watch because like all of them didn't know what to do, did they?
No.
It's like, how do you react to this? There's a driver out there that's fighting for his life. Like, how do you react? You can't really be happy for
a win because you haven't had that kind of situation in over a decade. Yeah, so.
Should we move on to Russia? Because I think Russia actually was a good point of the season in a way. I mean, it didn't actually have spectacular racing, but at least it showed the track was good and some spectacular shots and stuff.
Yeah, A lot of people are doubting Russia, for its organisation, and of course, politically earlier in the year, with the whole Crimea crisis and the ongoing Ukraine crisis, people were very sceptical about even going there for a long time, saying that F1 should boycott it.
But it actually was run quite well in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, there were no problems throughout the entire weekend, and the whole there was a good crowd from what I remember as well. So it wasn't too unpopular like Korea was. Of course, that's no longer on the calendar. So it was a good venue. I think that
it wasn't the best race.
No, but it's a good venue, I think.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some potential there. Unlike, as you say, with Korea, was a bit of a bland track.
Yeah.
So, and in India, I think was a bit better, but it still wasn't amazing.
Way too much air pollution around the Indian track. Like, there's so much dust. You couldn't see down that main straight, all the way from the ends.
Yeah. Which
is a bit weird. So you don't see that other circuits. They're pretty good in terms of their air quality. The other circuits.
Yeah. I suppose that's what happens when you go to such a country with such high population as well, isn't it? I suppose you had that in China as well, but the China track isn't really in the middle of or near a city, is it? Well, it's in Shanghai, but it's not that close, is it? Correctly?
I don't think so. No. I also don't think it's in the path of the wind, so it doesn't come over while the the Bud International Circuit is. So I think it attracts it in a way. Although actually it was a lot cleaner in last year, the India circuit, compared to 2012 and 2011.
Should we move on to America then?
Yep.
So I think this was a race where Rosberg really needed to be because I think at this point Hamilton, he took back the championship lead.
Yeah, he took it back in Singapore.
Ah, okay. Okay, I'm way behind. But yeah, so in America, Hamilton was sort of on the back foot, wasn't he? Rosberg out-qualified him.
Yep.
And Hamilton didn't really look like he could take the win, but it was that dive down the inside, wasn't it?
Yeah, the slap in the face overtake, as I think it was David Coulthard called it, because he cut Rosberg off on the exit. It kind of showed his superiority in that race, and then went on to win it, obviously.
I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think Rosberg said afterwards that he'd lost some of the power of the top end of the rev range or something.
Yeah.
Which meant he couldn't take it, not like another gear, but he didn't have that extra bit at the end of the
race.
Which unfortunate for him, but that's just how it is. I suppose the Mercedes were so on the limit with their speed, their reliability just wasn't that amazing.
No, so definitely something to be looked at for next season, because it's highly likely that they're going to be near the top again, because the regulations aren't changing that much. So they need to iron out the retirement stuff, because that could decide the championship next year as well.
It could definitely just turn it down a couple of percent, a little bit on the percentage bar of how quick they're going.
Well, I think they were this season as well, weren't they? A lot of races they just turned both of the cars down,
just to make sure they got to the finish.
Yeah.
Right, should we move on to Brazil?
Yeah.
I mean, America wasn't really a huge talking point.
No.
Apart from obviously Cater and Russian going into administration and not racing.
Yeah, because they're allowed. It wasn't a gift from Bernie or going out of the rules. Every F1 team is allowed to not attend 2 races as long as they're not the first one and the last one. Throughout the season, they're allowed that. So they use that regulation rule, whatever you call it, and they missed out USA and Brazil.
I didn't actually know that. So that makes a bit more sense of why Marussia might have lost last night in the championship.
Yeah, because from what I remember, I seem to have read something that if Marussia didn't turn up to the last race, then they wouldn't keep the prize money, and the prize money would go to Sauber, which I don't think Sauber deserved it this season.
No, Marussia were slower, but they capitalised on their opportunities, which what you need to do in Formula 1.
Yeah.
So Marussia deserved it. So talking about Brazil, I think it was a very good race from Rosberg. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. Because he ended up getting pole. Hamilton obviously had that spin, didn't he, or half spin in the middle of the race, which pretty much took his chance for a win away.
He did 2 laps of hammer time, as they call it down at Mercedes. Yeah, and of course he pushed it too far on the tyres.
And then just ran out of tyre, turned into the corner and half spun.
Yep.
Lost about is it about 10 odd seconds?
Yeah, he did catch it up by the end of the race, but he couldn't overtake Rosberg.
I think a lot of people say that Hamilton was just a lot faster. I don't know, I could be wrong here, but I think Rosberg might have just turned it down a little bit. Like, I need to get to the finish here and have a bit in reserve if he does attack.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but that was Rosberg's first win since Germany.
Yeah, a long time, that. Yeah.
Big old gap between.
And of course, I remember before Brazil, they were saying that Rosberg hadn't won since the team radio ban about where you should improve. So they were saying that might have actually affected his performance at that point.
I mean, quite a lot of the radio messages we did hear were to Rosberg, so that could be. Well, we did hear were to Rosberg, but whether it really affected him, I don't know. He's quite an intelligent driver, isn't he?
Yeah.
He learns about his mistakes and really tries to get on with them.
And of course, in that race, it was good to see Felipe Massa finish third.
Yeah.
At his home race, something which, of course, the Brazilian fans will like.
And he sort of proved he was worthy of a seat for next year in the last half of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the last part, he was up there with Bottas in terms of pace, and at some points he looked like he was beating Bottas in terms of pace, which you didn't see earlier in the season. You just saw Bottas basically trouncing Massa in the first part of the season. I mean, there's still a big points difference in the end. A good 50 points between the two, but at the end of the season, I think they were pretty much equal in terms of their performance.
Yep. Were you going to say something else? I sort of cut you off, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying how that saw a little bit of a rekindle in Hulkenberg's form.
Oh yeah, he's always been pretty good at Brazil, hasn't he? He's got the pole position back in 2010.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
And 2012 he battled for the win, obviously, until he clashed with Hamilton.
Yep.
He's always been good in Brazil.
Yeah.
But you just get those drivers that suit certain tracks, and I mean, it was 8th, but I think the pace was there, wasn't it?
Yeah, he caught up Raikkonen. If there was like, I hate to say this again, if there was like 1 or 2 more laps, he probably could have got Raikkonen easily and then gone after Alonso. So, but that saw a difference because in those races before that, he looked weak in terms of pace throughout the entire weekend. So that was a bit of a rekindling for Nico Hulkenberg. So
should we go ahead to the final round of the season?
Yep.
So Abu Dhabi, I don't know how we've managed to get through this. It's going to be a long old video, but hopefully everyone's enjoyed watching it. So Abu Dhabi, the title showdown, wasn't it, between Hamilton and Rosberg? There was, I think, 16 or 17 points between them.
Yep.
And basically, if Hamilton finished top 2, he's going to win. And if Rosberg finished...
if Rosberg finished first and Hamilton finishes third, then Rosberg would have won the championship.
And that was 100% down to double points if that happened, but that wasn't the case. Who knows, it would have been, maybe it could have been a completely different story if Rosberg had actually got to the end of the race, but obviously he had his issue.
Yeah.
Which I think it would have been alright if it happened in any other race of the season, but it sort of ruined it for a lot of people that we didn't have that fight.
Yeah.
But as you say, as we've said throughout this, it's Formula 1 and not everything goes your way, especially when you run a car right on the limit. So yeah, but a massive gap in the end. Was it? How many points is that? 67 points.
Is this your maths kicking into action?
Yeah, 67 points. I did that first time. I worked out first time. So yeah, 67 points for Rosberg and Hamilton. Right. And I think that sort of takes away from Rosberg how good he actually was this year.
Yeah, because if you just look at the statistics alone, like just the points, there seems like there's a huge gap between Hamilton and Rosberg, when in fact they were level pegging, pretty much all season. So,
and one sort of final shout out there to Felipe Massa getting second place and actually trying to challenge Hamilton there towards the end.
Yeah,
but they had some sort of problem, didn't they? Could be wrong. The last couple of laps.
I'm not sure, but I remember that Hamilton, of course, turned down his engine a lot during the middle of the race when Rosberg had the height of his problems, and that's when Massa just overtook Hamilton. Hamilton hadn't had his pit stop advantage anymore. Massa caught that up because they turned Hamilton's engine down to something like 60% of normal power.
Do you think that Massa shouldn't have stopped for that time because he would have been leading the race then? Do you think he would have been able to manage it towards the end of the race?
I think they should have tried, but this is Williams, and I don't think Williams are the best with their strategy.
That's what they need to do for next year. That's the only thing really they couldn't really do except for obviously improve the car a little bit, but just work out their strategies a bit better.
Yeah.
That's what they could have. I think honestly, easily been third and fourth in the championship because they had. They should
have got second in the constructors.
Yeah, because they were the second best car.
Yeah.
Over the whole season, Red Bull were good, but over the whole season they were a bit up and down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the whole season. Any people you want to say? Well, we talked about Raikkonen, didn't we, before we started this? Raikkonen's worst ever season in Formula 1.
Yeah, very, very disappointing. Obviously not helped by the fact that it wasn't a good car at any point in the season. He did have that 4th place in Belgium,
which showed that speed was still there.
Yeah, it showed he still had some speed in him. Of course, that he is known to be by some people as the king of Spa.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, for winning 4 times, is it?
Oh, something like that. He's incredible. He's incredible there.
Yeah. So, and of course, he also got trounced by Fernando Alonso. So that.
Yeah. How many points was it? Alonso 161. It was 106 points between Alonso and Raikkonen. Raikkonen had over 3 times the points.
I think that's the biggest difference.
Sorry, no, Alonso had 3 times the points, not Raikkonen.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest difference. Although the gap between Kevin Magnussen and Jenson Button is also quite big.
I remember one thing from that first, the thing we did at the start of the year, the preview, and it's something about Grosjean or Maldonado. How many points you thought, or how many times? How much do I say here? How many points Grosjean would have more than Maldonado? I think you said like 3 or 4 times more. I don't know whether you remember that.
I can't remember.
but yeah, basically Grosjean actually did end up getting 4 times the amount of points that Maldonado got. So I think you're right.
Yes, getting there.
But as we said at the start of the season, we had no idea what the Lotus was going to be like, and it ended up being terrible.
Yeah, we thought they'd be like similar to their 2013 kind of pace. I mean, not they could have won. Because Raikkonen did win the first race 2013, and towards the end of the season, if Vettel had a retirement, of course he went on that massive winning streak. Yeah. But in I think a couple of races, if he had a retirement, then Grosjean
was right.
Yeah, Grosjean would have won. So, yeah.
So, who would you like to say was your driver of the year? Maybe excluding if you tried to even out the car performance, who would you say was the driver of the year?
Probably say Bottas.
I'm probably going to say Ricciardo.
Oh yeah, Ricciardo's also up there. Yeah, I agree.
So Ricciardo or Bottas are our drivers of the season.
Yeah.
I think everyone should leave, if they get this far in the video, should let us know in the comments what their driver, who their driver of the season was. Obviously, we're trying to balance out the cars in a way and say who was actually the best driver, not just who had the best car.
Yeah.
Because I think Hamilton did have an astonishing season, but it's like with Vettel, you don't really know. If Ricciardo was in a Mercedes, for example, how many wins he had got, but there's no need to say that because he wasn't in a Mercedes, so...
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, apart from maybe Kvyat, I'd say had a pretty solid season and obviously ended up getting into Red Bull. I mean, he was, I think, more consistent than Verne. Verne had a couple of just standout races, which meant a lot, but...
Yeah, but I mean, I feel a bit sad for Jean-Eric Verne.
Yeah, he should be in F1.
Yeah, it should be, yeah.
It's when you're a Red Bull junior, if you're not quite good enough. He was literally like millimeters away, if you were trying to say it like that, away from getting a Red Bull seat, in my opinion.
And now he might be ejected from F1 altogether. So,
but maybe it might be best for him. I mean, does he want to stay with Toro Rosso for another season? I don't know. Do you want to just be in Formula 1 to be in Formula 1, or would you actually like to enjoy it? If that makes sense.
Well, I think Jean-Eric Verne should have been promoted instead of Kvyat, and then maybe if Jean-Eric Verne was trounced by Ricciardo, say at Red Bull, then just get Jean-Eric Verne out.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Then you can then promote Daniel Kvyat or Sainz.
Yeah, Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, promote him. Just put him on a 1-year contract instead of Kvyat. But of course, that's now too late, and Kvyat will be at Red Bull next year. But that's just my opinion.
So as we record this, no McLaren drivers have been confirmed for next year. I know we're talking about next year here, but who do you think are going to drive for them next year?
McLaren.
Yeah,
Fernando Alonso, and I want to say Jenson Button, but I fear that McLaren won't be
nice.
Yeah, it's going to be Kevin Magnussen, I think.
I'm just going to go, because I know what everyone wants to hear. I'm going to go with Button and Alonso.
There we go.
That's probably not going to happen.
That'd be a really strong partnership. I don't know why McLaren wouldn't go for that, except for the fact that Button isn't going to last that much longer in F1 because he's the oldest driver, isn't he? I think.
Oh, I think it's up there with Alonso, the oldest. I can't remember. They'd had the oldest lineup on the grid. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And I think getting rid of Kevin Magnussen after one season is just really unfair.
Yeah. Especially they did it to Sergio Perez last season.
And Perez goes and beats Magnussen in the championship, so all bit awkward.
Oh, yeah, you didn't. Forgot about that.
So yeah, should we end the video here? And I just want to say a massive thank you to Alex.
Yep, thank you to Alex as well.
That's the always thing about these videos. You've got to say thank you to Alex and yeah. So I'll leave a link to Alex's channel in the description down below. How many subscribers are you at?
I think I'm on 850 something at the moment. So, I mean, I'm pushing for 1K, but I probably won't be able to get it by New Year because I won't have my computer at home.
So I know it's a big ask, guys, but if you want to go over and subscribe to this channel, we could try and get him nearer to that 1,000. That would be a big ask, but who knows? YouTube's a crazy world.
Yeah.
maybe we can get there. And if you obviously enjoyed the video, you can hit the like button and subscribe to both of our channels. It will help us out. And you're doing F1 Career Challenge or F1 Challenge?
Yeah, F1 Challenge 9902. Yeah, the PC game. Yeah, 1999 to 2002. I'm currently in the 2000 season. I'm just finishing it, and then I'll be moving next season.
So it's nice and original, doing something different to everyone else. So
yeah,
it's definitely worth going and have a look, guys, because the videos over there are great quality. So yeah, should we end it there?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. It's been Alex and Alex out of here. Goodbye.